Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I hope everyone is doing good. So in this video, we are going to discuss about data movement. We are going to discuss about the data pipeline. That there will be a problem statement, and there will be multiple ways to approach to its solution. So we'll look into the different aspects. Also, what should be our way of thinking to approach these kind of problems. So let's start. So the problem statement is moving the data from Oracle system to AWS system. So I'm not talking about moving the whole database, means on-prem Oracle to RDS Oracle. I'm talking about moving the data from the Oracle to S3 file system to S3 block. So there are different approaches to do this activity, but the practical aspects or the practical solution for this problem statement is dependable on the size of the data, the tech which is available with your client, and how fast you want to do this process. So now the system which is already working in Oracle will have multiple PL SQL and normal SQL and the data there. So in this scenario, we just want the data from the Oracle system, the tables and the other stuff from the Oracle system to move into S3 bucket, AWS S3. So we are not talking about moving the full application. Means we are not talking about moving the SQL, moving the PL SQL from Oracle to some other language in the S3 system. We are just talking about moving the data, and we are talking about one time moving the data. So now, if you search into multiple blocks, they will directly jump into the solution of AWS. You can use AWS migration tool, data migration tool services is there. You can use multiple other things, but I want to discuss more about how the practical scenario is there when you work in any project. So there are three things. The first thing is you can move the data from Oracle to the S3 bucket. I'll just write it here, S3 to the S3 bucket with the help of Python, a normal Python. You can write a Python program, and that Python program will connect to Oracle database, create the pandas, and dump that data into S3 bucket. Now, in this thing, the Python program can run on the EC2 machine of the AWS, or you can have the Python program run on any of your on-prem server, like any of your on-prem machine, and that can also work. It will create a connectivity with AWS and to the S3 bucket. Now, we are assuming that we have a EC2 machine on which the Python program is executing. So this scenario will work when we have a less amount of data. For example, I'll tell you the scenario. For example, there is a machine learning model which is running on Oracle system currently. But now, for the migration purpose or for the cloud initiative, your model is now going to work on S3 bucket. Means your model will be running on some server, some compute layer, but the data now the model will be pointing to S3, AWS S3, not to Oracle. So for that, client will ask us to move the data from Oracle to S3, and that model working data will be of a small set of data. So in that case, we'll write a Python framework. Why I'm talking about framework? Because in framework you can define, you can change the source, target. You can also do multiple configuration in the parameter, and that you can write in a Python. It will be very easy to write, and that will be used to move the data from Oracle to S3 bucket. One more thing, in the Python, in the framework, you can also write the reconciliation process, like the number of records fetched from Oracle is same as number of record which has been dumped into S3 bucket. So this is one way. The other way is through Spark. So if your data is big, so then you can write a Spark program, and that Spark program will connect to Oracle, and then that will dump the data into S3 bucket. Now to run the Spark program, you need a cluster. So for that, you can use the EMR as a compute layer, or also you can write the Spark and the glue. So you have other option also in the glue. You don't have to worry about the server compute thing. So you can either use glue or you can use EMR with the Spark. Now, how this job will run? You will have first job, because this pipeline. So now we are creating a pipeline. The first pipeline will be, if I'm talking about the Spark, the first pipeline will be initiating this EMR. Okay, either your EMR will be already started or you have to start the EMR. So that process the boot up of the EMR has to be done. That is the first job. The second job will be the Spark connecting to Oracle and moving the data into S3 bucket. That is the second job. The third job will be, because this S3 bucket will be the raw layer, or I can tell it a bronze layer. So then there will be another set of transformation, and that set of transformation will move this data into silver layer. Okay. And then finally into a gold layer. Those of you who don't understand what is bronze, silver, and diamond, or the raw layer or curated layer, so you can post your question in the comment, and if required, I can make a separate video for that. So that your job will be, another job will be pulling the data from bronze and then putting into a silver. If you don't have any transformation, any cleaning process here, you can directly, you can remove this silver. Your bronze will become your gold layer. Means that will be your final destination. So how your pipeline should work, or how your pipeline should look is, I'll write it here. You have to first boot up the EMR server. So there are multiple types of EMR server: persistent, transient, there are serverless. So I'm talking about the transient EMR, in which you have to boot the EMR. Okay. The second will be, if required, check the data or just initiate the Spark and connect to Oracle system and dump data into S3. Fine. Now, this is the two jobs in my pipeline. So you need somewhere to create the pipeline. So what I will suggest to the, like my suggestion will be to use any external orchestration tool. So you can use Airflow, or you can use Autosys, or you can use cron tab, anything. So nowadays Autosys or Airflow is very popular because you can write it in a Python language, in a more JSON format. And that in the Airflow you have to define these two jobs. That will be your pipeline. So I'm not talking about the monitoring the pipeline, just creating the pipeline. That will help you in creating the pipeline. So our core problem statement was to move the data from Oracle to S3 bucket. Now I'm not going into deep into how the data will be stored. I'm focusing more into movement of data. So I understood two solutions. One is through Python, the other is through Spark. The Spark can run on EMR or it can run on Glue. If you can make your own EC2 cluster, multiple EC2, that will also work. But people generally don't do that because we have a EMR for that. Fine. Now, this is how we approach to this kind of problem statement. The AWS services for moving the data directly from Oracle to S3 bucket, DMS, data migration services, that is a bit costly. That can be used when your Oracle data is very big, when your source data is very big. Fine. So mostly in a data science project, analytical project, the data set is not huge, but the model is a bit complicated. In that we use Python framework, generally Pandas framework, to do this job. So before pointing to the solution, like if you want a solution for this kind of migration and you want to point into AWS solution, don't directly jump into all the services of AWS. It will be a costly affair. So for the client, you have to be a bit cost effective also, and you should give the reasoning behind using any of the tech. So this way you can approach the problem statement. So whenever you get a problem in a migration project, you look into the data, you look into the complexity of data, look into what you have to migrate. Either you have to migrate the data, or you have to migrate the data plus program. If you're migrating the data, then this is the way. If you're migrating the Oracle PL SQL into Spark, then you have to write the conversion of that. Either you have to change into SQL and then run it, or either you have to rewrite the logic. So these are the few questions in the initial stage you have to be very clear of, and then you can think of a solution, and then you can pitch your idea. I hope this will be, this was just a starting of the data pipeline. I hope this will be like useful to you. If you have any doubt in understanding anything in details, or if you don't know about this different storage layer, please put your question in the comment and I'll get back to you. So, and in some point of this data pipeline series, I'll come up with the practical aspects, how to create a pipeline. But the data pipeline is less about the practical stuff implementation. It's more about choosing the solution and having your ideas in a proper way. So I want, like, I will suggest everyone, a new data engineer or mid level data engineer, to focus on understanding the pipeline and coming up with a solution in multiple ways, not on a single way of solutioning to the data pipeline. If you understand the data pipeline in a very well way, then you can think about data pipeline monitoring, observability, governance, everything. That will be a later point of time. Okay, and then in any case of doubt, as I have mentioned, please post your comment. Thank you and happy learning.